This is November 30th, Coach Potatoes Week 3. So glad to have you back. Audio should be a lot more crisp this time.
We figured out what the issue was. We had unfortunately been recording with the webcam microphone. Won't happen next week. We know what to do now. Just rookie moves for sure.
Thanks for bearing with us. This week should be a lot better.
Yeah, we definitely hope so. To start off this week, we're going to go ahead and go into Fast 5 outcomes for Week 12, then do a recap, and then talk about tonight. Then we're going to go into Fast 5 for next week, talk legit versus shit again, do our conspiracy corner again, and then talk about our teams at the end. Let's start first with those Fast 5 outcomes Week 12. We got Titans at Colts for the first one. The Titans pulled it off, and you had the Colts last week. Let's talk about that, Dallas.
So, if you're a Titans fan, you know that you never know which Titans team is going to come out. Just 2 weeks ago, we got blown out.
Yeah.
The Colts ended up missing a lot of key players that helped us out, specifically with a run-down-the-middle style.
Absolutely.
Looking at it from that way, I guess it's not a surprise we blew them out, but it was still possible to lose. And I'm just used to that from our boys. It's nice to get 40-plus points on offense. It's nice, man.
Yeah, even though, for my Cowboys, when we scored that much against the Falcons, even though we barely won that game, we scraped it by with that ridiculous onside kick. It's really nice to watch your team do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think I walked away thinking, there's for some reason, I just feel like the Titans are going to do this. I had some sort of premonition. I thought they were going to do it this week, and, they pulled it off. And, in incredible fashion. I think it was 35-14 at one point.
Yeah.
They narrowed it out maybe to 3 scores at one point, but still it was just out of their reach.
The Colts got mad. A player got ejected for throwing a punch. There was a lot of smack talk. We just kind of dominated them in a position where the AFC South was up for grabs.
Yeah.
And I love that it's the last time we'll play them this year.
Yeah, it's definitely a good thing for the Titans. Now the Colts have to depend on the Titans losing. So the Titans are in the better spot for this division going forward, the AFC South, that is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go next to the Chiefs at Bucks. I believe we both took the Chiefs, if I'm not wrong. Do you remember what you took?
I don't, but that sounds... I would believe it.
I think
I would take today.
I remember thinking to myself, this is either going to be a blowout and the Chiefs win, or it's going to be a really close game and the Bucks inch it out. And it was neither. It was the Chiefs came out just narrowly on top, I think, by a field goal.
Yeah.
I think the Bucks had one more shot at the end, but they weren't able to put it together. And Brady doesn't look excellent. He doesn't look polished. My take on it is a little bit of the scheme. We're gonna go more into legit versus shit when we talk about Brady later.
Yeah.
But what are your takes on this game?
Sloppy ball from both positions when you look at what the Chiefs usually do. Mahomes had a couple sacks, I think, at least one that he was brought down.
Yeah.
Interception, which for him is a little unusual.
Yeah, but you got to expect that eventually.
Yeah, I think both teams stayed in it. Like you said, I think it came down to a 3-point game at the end where the Bucks had the ball and they just couldn't get it finished.
Absolutely. One thing I will say is Ronald Jones.
Oh my God, that play.
We like to talk a lot about quarterbacks because it is the most important job on a football field for most games. But Ronald Jones, he's really been no matter who they put in there, LaShawn McCoy, he's not taking my job.
Yeah.
Leonard Fournette, who's, one of the, a top running back right now.
Yeah. An off-season prize. A lot of teams wanted him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just think that, excuse me, I'm losing my train of thought. The Ronald Jones has really proven himself to be the starter for them. He will continue to be their workhorse running back. Yeah. And that hurdle that he did was just so clean. It was just so perfectly timed and just he got over the defender easily.
Best athlete at that position on that roster.
Absolutely. A few years ago you might have said LaShawn McCoy, but I feel like definitely now with Ronald Jones just kind of still continuing to be a proven commodity, he's not going to let that job go.
Yeah, no, I think he has that job locked down. One of those other two running backs might be gone in the offseason.
We're going to skip over the Ravens and Steelers for a second. Game hasn't happened yet. Just got actually right before we started recording that the game is moved to Wednesday.
Yeah.
So if you're finding us for the first time and you're a Ravens or Steelers fan, sorry. They have like 20 plus people who have contracted COVID on the Ravens roster or who are on the COVID list.
Yeah.
And I think there's a couple on the Steelers now too.
Yeah.
But let's go to Washington at Dallas. Oh my God.
Yeah, take the floor, Jeff. Tell me about Washington.
Do I have to?
Yeah. I want to hear it.
All right, so let's break this down real quick. Oh, man. Okay, so I didn't really get to sit down and watch this game fully, and I'm glad. I was eating Thanksgiving dinner while it was on. Or I guess it was kind of lunch-ish because the game started at like 3. But nonetheless, what is Dallas? I don't know what Dallas is. They are an unproven commodity. What we do know is that without Dak, they are not a high-powered offense. If Zeke is the starting tailback, they are not a high-powered offense. If the defense continues to go in the direction that it is, they're not a high-powered defense. So my breakdown is that I know you have a lot of reservations about McCarthy. I think that we are way too early to call for a man's job. I think if it's 2 seasons and we get the same level of, because look at all the injuries. He lost the starting defensive tackle. We've lost, Ezekiel Elliott was supposed to be a premier athlete. He is not. We've lost almost everyone on the offensive line. Zach Martin's hurt again, too. So, literally, there's 0 starters on the offensive line now.
God.
The quarterback who's really was, even the week after he was hurt, he was still the leader in passing yards, Dak Prescott. We can't just say Mike McCarthy's bad because everything he's had to go from. No off season. There's other coaches who have succeeded a little bit more with no off season, but as a first year guy, I think it's the same kind of story with Bruce Arians where we got to give him a little time, 1 more year, and then I'll be willing to make a big take. But what you got on this game?
I mean, to watch some of the plays, because as you said, I'm hesitant on Mike.
Yeah.
Not many good head coaches with the first name Mike, at least from a Titans fan standpoint.
Sure.
Vrabel's okay.
Mike Vrabel, yeah. You guys had 3 Mikes in a row.
Well, yeah. Mike. But back to your boys. There's some highlights. CeeDee Lamb looks great.
Yeah.
Amari Cooper, I still think, can be a productive wideout for a good price for
Absolutely.
you guys.
Yeah. He had one incredible catch over this one. It was a push off, but they were both pushing off against each other. But in that catch, though, he made a great play, and he continued to run with the yards after catch, which was just incredible. Because I didn't know if Cooper still had that much in the tank, but apparently he does.
You make a lot of good points about McCarthy being handed what he thought was a Ferrari, but it was actually just the key to a P.O. box that was just a dog shit in there.
It's almost like if you took like a Pinto and you put like a GT wing on it and like pop-up lights from like an old Lamborghini and racing stripes, and you're like, here's your Lambo.
Here it is.
And Mike McCarthy wasn't wearing his glasses and he didn't know what it was.
And he just took the keys.
He just took the keys and ran.
But there were just so many flaws from a just play calling standpoint.
Yeah.
That I just don't know where he thought some of those things could work.
My concern is if these play calls continue, but I feel like they might be just kind of experimenting in the first season. That's kind of my rationale for it right now. Is like, I want to see more fake punts. I want to see, I know Bones Fossil, our special teams coordinator for the Cowboys, loves to do these fakes. He had Johnny Hecker for a long time at the Rams previously. And Johnny Hecker is good at throwing the football, good at fakes, just an all-around good punter. So I think you got to look at it like, they're all getting used to the personnel. A lot of the personnel who were there before are hurt. Chris Jones has been hurt a couple times this season, our punter. We've had, the kicker has Greg Zuerlein, Greg the Leg, has not been perfect. And, Frankenleg got the win this week. Old Alex Smith. Yeah. That leg has been reassembled like a Lego set. But it's working, I guess. He didn't look great. But the skill positions around him did.
Yeah. And to touch with Washington, too, I mean, that's not an offense. That's who they played, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think that was an offense that could produce that many points. Highlight for them, I know it's the NFC least right now.
Yeah.
But I give it a year or two, and the NFC East has potential to be really strong again.
I agree. I think with all the players back, Eagles have a ton of injuries.
Yeah.
Washington has a couple of them.
Yeah.
And
You guys are a completely different team than what was week 1.
yeah, Saquon Barkley's out for the Giants.
Yeah.
And
Crush
the Cowboys have just, I think, one of the worst injury, reports of any team right now.
Like the Eagles a couple years back. I mean,
Absolutely.
They had no wide receivers.
Absolutely. So that's all we got on, I guess, for that game.
Yeah. A weird one.
One last thing I wanted to bring up is just Terry McLaurin bringing out his inner DK Metcalf and chasing down Jalen Smith for the pick 6.
Yeah.
I was really happy because I think Jalen Smith is an unproven commodity and needs to prove himself more just because he's a liability in coverage.
Yeah.
And he's not shown the burst that he used to. So I liked seeing him getting that pick, but is kind of like in the right position at the right time kind of thing, in my opinion. Yeah. So we'll see more on them. Let's move off the Cowboys. We talked about them long enough. Let's go to the Cardinals at Patriots. Wow. I did not expect the Patriots to pull this one off.
Yeah, no. I mean, the Cardinals kind of gave it to them. Do you want to start this one off or me? Because I think we both have a lot to say.
You got it.
So, Patriots are bad. I love saying it. Belichick can't save them. Cam Newton is bad. I don't think he'll be the quarterback there, if anywhere, after this season.
Real unfortunate.
I love Cam. I love his attitude. I love his play. I love his physicalness at that position, but he's just not getting it done consistently.
Yeah, and I think, real quick, not to interrupt you, the people who want to, especially with Cam when he was in Carolina, who wanted to try to start to, criticize his, dancing and stuff, if you don't want him to dance, don't let him score.
He said that, I think, word for word or very close.
Exactly. If you don't want to see the dab, if you don't want to see the Superman, don't let him be Superman. He's just a beast, and if he has the ability and he has the success, he deserves to celebrate.
Yeah, the week he said that, he was playing the Titans, and I agreed with him then, and I agree now. It's a game. They are working really hard to get those points and celebrate it. Go crazy.
Absolutely.
And that's why I hate where he's at now, because I loved that confident scoring quarterback on any team. You want to see that at the quarterback position. Yeah. But I don't know if it's injury. I don't know if it's age, scheme. Cam looks bad, and the Patriots were the only team that took a shot on him this offseason. That's probably the highlight of the Patriots. And Cardinals, I don't want to spoil too much because we'll talk about them later.
Absolutely, yeah.
But
in legit versus shit.
Yeah, a lot of potential there in a game they could have won.
Yeah, they definitely should have won this game. They shouldn't have won the Bills game, but they should have won this game.
Yeah.
The Cardinals, Kyler Murray, he looks really good. He's got Kenyon Drake's also kind of becoming his own. I think Kyler Murray still has a little bit left to be desired with connecting to DeAndre Hopkins. I think we all look at that the Hail Murray and we're going to say oh wow, he can connect him with him on anything. Even Kyler's kind of alluded to that with his tweets and stuff. But you got to look at it like this: on just standard passes where it's just where Deshaun Watson and DeAndre would be hooking up every single time because they just have that chemistry. I think we got to give it time for Hopkins and Murray to really establish themselves, because they had no offseason together.
No.
They just kind of were tossed back in the backyard almost right before the season,
Yeah.
So we gotta give them a little bit more time. I will say though, I'm really disappointed to see Cam not be 2015 Cam anymore.
Yeah.
I really wanted Cam to be that guy again. I want him to be. He was my pick for comeback player of the year. I don't think we talked about it on the podcast, but I definitely wanted him to do that again.
Yeah.
It's real unfortunate, but I think that's all I got for this week. One guy, the running back Harris for the Patriots, he looks really good.
He does. Came out of nowhere.
Yeah, they have running back by committee, but we watched a couple highlights right before recording, and he's had a good number of breakout plays where he just hits the corner and just hits into second gear and just starts blazing down the field.
One of the best players I've seen turn upfield and then just burst.
Yeah, and then even hit power. There's a couple plays where he like struck someone. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Little guy, but has a lot of power in him.
What was his name again? Harris?
Awesome. Harris, number 37. I don't remember his first name, though.
But I'll watch him next week, too.
Awesome. Well, that does it for our Fast 5 outcomes week 12. We're going to start talking about a little bit of our
Week 13?
Our week 13.
Well, with week...
Oh, we gotta go into week 12 recap first. Let's start there. Texans, Lions on Thanksgiving. Deshaun Watson is just incredible. I think that's all there is to say about that game.
Best way to put a bow on that one.
It's really incredible, and the Lions suck, and Matt Patricia's gone for a reason.
Yep. Matt Patricia's fired. That's right.
He is gone.
Gobble gobble. Thanksgiving's off for him. Next year.
No pencil for him anymore. He took his pencil.
Yeah.
Let's go to Chargers Bills. I didn't watch any of this game, but who would have expected the Chargers to win this game?
No, yeah.
The only thing that's willing them anywhere is Mike Williams and Justin Herbert. That's it.
Yeah, and the Bills are a proven team this far into the season.
Absolutely.
I was a skeptic week 5, but they're good.
Mm-hmm. Panthers Vikings. Tragic end for Teddy Bridgewater and his Panthers. I think my dream boy, PJ Walker, got a couple snaps this game.
Yeah.
But Sly at the end could not make the field goal, which is real unfortunate. Similar fashion to how the Vikings lost a few years ago in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Real unfortunate. Browns Jaguars. What? I can't believe the Jaguars got that close.
I mean, Jaguars I think are officially out of playoff contention now.
Mm-hmm.
Browns were a hungrier team, and that's a good offense no matter who's at quarterback.
It's true. Giants Bengals. I mean, it's just the tank bowl.
19-17 score would agree with you. Neither team over 20. Joe Burrow's out. The Giants, like you said, Saquon's out. Two very important young players to keep that offense going.
Absolutely. Dolphins Jets.
There's the tank bowl.
The spanking that Adam Gase has had several times and will continue to deserve.
Until he's fired, yeah. I mean, that's him. That's the Jets.
Yeah. Raiders Falcons. 43-6. The Raiders lost.
Wow. With no Julio Jones.
Julio didn't. I don't think he played the whole game.
Yeah.
I think I saw him a couple snaps.
I don't think so. I have no fantasy.
I might have been fever dreaming.
He was out. I know he got 0 points in fantasy. So.
Wow. Yeah. Falcons. Wow. Are they? What are they? And then the Raiders. What are they? It's just such a confusing game because this is so lopsided and it shouldn't have been.
Yeah. For both teams, is it a fluke?
Mm-hmm. All right. So Saints versus Broncos.
The quarterbackless game.
The fabled quarterbackless game. The prophecy told us one day this would happen. We didn't know it would. The Broncos managed to squeak out, not getting totally shut out. 31-3 was the final score.
Yeah.
I have like this kind of weird thing where I'm like, I want to see the Broncos kind of succeed.
Yeah, I love the Broncos. I love that area.
Yeah, I love Colorado in general. So.
Quick note on that one. I think it was the first time in 30, 40 years, less than 100 passing yards by both quarterbacks.
That's incredible. Taysom Hill's athleticism still is amazing.
Yeah.
He's a 30-year-old quarterback, which is insane.
I didn't know that.
I thought he was a young guy. Also, I saw he played for the Packers at one point. Did you know that?
No, I thought he was a Saint his whole life.
Looks so ugly in a Packer uniform. We have to show that at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, just totally rocking the Saints. 49ers Rams.
I mean, one of the games that wasn't a blowout.
Yeah.
Kind of another sloppy ball game. 49ers don't have their quarterback. Rams, I don't know if Jared Goff should be their quarterback.
Yeah, I think Jared Goff fits their system well when he's not under pressure.
Yeah.
The 49ers defensive line, even without what's his name? Joey.
Which offensive line?
The defensive.
Oh,
line.
Joey Bosa.
Joey Bosa.
Yeah.
Thank you. Even without Joey Bosa, there's still a really good defensive line.
But I mean, job security wise, Sean McVay's safe, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
You gotta. He brought him to the Super Bowl like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You keep him for a while.
One of the best young coaches in the game.
Absolutely. And the Rams, I'm still hot on the Rams. I think that as long as they keep their quarterback safe, he won't make mistakes. As soon as he gets pressure in his face, that's when he makes mistakes.
Phillip Rivers-esque.
He's even though he has a little bit of athleticism, he's not just a statue.
Yeah.
But for some reason, when there's things in his face, it's always like, I'm going to throw it to the other team.
Good on the 49ers to still get pressure on him without Joey.
Absolutely. Couple more for us. We got the Bears and the Packers. Man, the Packers just mollywopped the Bears.
Yeah. Bears are exposed as the tank Bears that they've been for a while.
Forever they will be. I think Trubisky might have got a couple snaps this game.
He did.
I don't even know. The Bears have no answer this season. Bears, I think their season is over. Even if they squeak out a wild card, it's not going to be worth it because they're not going to go anywhere.
That's the best part of this small window of football, like week 10 to week 14, is those exposures. The Bears were a 5-0 team.
Yeah, and the last game that we didn't already cover in our outcomes is going to be the Seahawks versus the Eagles, which we'll talk about in our preview now.
No.
So, Seahawks-Eagles. You have any thoughts on this game? Because I have some, but I want to hear what you have to say first, though.
I'll be short and sweet. I'm not big on Carson Wentz. I think he is one of the most overrated quarterbacks at this point, and I'm very high on Russell Wilson. I still think he's an absolute just top tier at his position, year in, year out, week by week. He doesn't really have bad weeks. Yeah. So we'll see how he plays. We'll see how both quarterbacks play. Yeah. That's really about it on those teams.
I got this weird feeling that the Eagles are going to win this one.
You think it's an upset?
I think it's going to be a real close upset because Russell Wilson is such an incredible quarterback. But the Seahawks have had problems with their defensive line.
Yeah.
And the Eagles don't have a great offensive line, but they've shown some hot streaks recently.
Well, if I may, just to further on that, not to cut you off, but what players do you see on that roster making this upset happen?
I think that it takes a number of things. I think, A, the Eagles have to get lucky and get some sort of turnover at some point. Okay. Russell Wilson has to make a mistake.
Okay.
I think, B, the pass rush for the Seahawks has to be weak again.
Yeah.
Which they haven't shown to be weak the last two games that they've played. But who knows? Who knows if this is just a week that the Eagles are like, we're fighting for our division. We want to win this division. You can say a team's tanking, but the players will never tank. Yeah. So I can definitely see the Eagles squeaking this one out. I don't want to see it. I'd much rather see Riverboat Ron win the division with the football team.
That'd be great.
But the Eagles definitely still have a chance here.
What are they, like 7-7? 4-7? What's their record? Is it bad or is it
I think
good?
it's 3-6-1.
Okay, so it's bad.
Yeah. But if they win this game, they're winning the division again.
It's gross. Don't say that. Is that true?
That's canon? That's canon to this reality that we're living in right now.
Disgusting.
Yeah. And like we already said, last game of the week, Rams-Steelers has moved to Wednesday.
Ravens-Steelers?
Oh, what did I say? Rams?
Rams, yeah.
Okay,
Got Rams on mine.
Ravens-Steelers is moved to Wednesday.
We'll see who even suits up for the Ravens when that happens.
Yeah. All right. So our last thing we want to talk about right before the break, we got the Fast 5 Week 13. Browns at Titans. Who you got? You got someone in this game that you really like and someone that you really don't.
Yeah, I mean, Derrick Henry is a guy I like every week. Every single snap, I want to see him get the ball. And Baker Mayfield has been figured out like a four-sided Rubik's Cube. I mean,
yeah,
it doesn't matter which defense is going up against him. They have to make sort of these schemes that are trick plays just to try to get the ball downfield in huge plays.
Yeah, I will respect the coaching of the Browns so far. Kevin Stefanski might be my coach of the year just because he was like an unproven commodity just being the Vikings offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And now figuring out ways to, take apart teams instrumentally has really been interesting, especially when watching him take apart the Cowboys for like almost 400 rushing yards.
And that's really one of the best things about the Browns right now is coaching. Explosive offense, great committee of running backs, great wide receivers, good offensive line. Myles Garrett is insane. Is Joe Hayden on the Steelers or Browns?
He's a Steeler now.
Okay. I'm trying to think of which corner they have that's a little older that I love, but they have a good defensive back group too.
Yeah. Their defensive backs do have a little bit to be desired, but they're not. They're a solid. A solid unit.
Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry should be great to watch.
It's a good matchup for sure. I don't know what this game.
Yeah.
I still see the Browns taking the wild card spot if the Ravens can't get another one.
Yeah.
I feel like they might have the higher seed than the Ravens this year, just because the Ravens are, they're losing the COVID battle, and if you lose the COVID battle this year, you lose, a lot of games.
Do you know the Chargers head coach's name? Do you remember?
Anthony Lynn.
Anthony Lynn. At the beginning of the season, he had COVID, and he said, or right before the season, he said whatever team does combat COVID the best has the best shot at the Super Bowl.
Right.
So, words that are important right now.
Absolutely. And, teams that have been successful with the COVID battle have been generally successful.
Yeah.
As long as they have a solid team behind them as well without all the injuries.
Yeah.
The Cowboys have had very few cases, but, sadly they've not been able to perform. But with this game, I can't see the Titans really going down at home. I think that we'll have a little bit of a crowd there. I don't know what restrictions are right now in Nashville, but the Browns, I think the edge goes to quarterback because I think their defenses are pretty even. Myles Garrett, if he has an outstanding game, that's different. Running game is a bit of a push as well.
Yeah.
I think the only edge that the Titans have is quarterback play. And I think they have better wide receivers as well. So I think the biggest reason why the Titans are going to win this game is because of Tannehill and his receiving core.
I agree. The passing game, absolutely. If they can keep Tannehill as protected as last week, I can see another 200-yard game for him.
Absolutely. You gotta lock down Myles Garrett with the left tackle being out, Taylor Lewan.
Yep.
It's tough for them to do that, but I can't see the Titans getting taken down this week. Who you got? What's
Titans.
the score?
Titans. Score, I think, will be respectable, more so than last week. I think we could get 30 points. They could get 20 points, maybe somewhere in that range. But I would like to give a huge shout out to the left tackle that played for us, David Quisenberry. I believe David is his first name.
Yeah.
He played phenomenal. I mean, he came in. This was his first, I think, career start, and this is a post-cancer battle for him.
Nice.
So, yeah, shout out to Quisenberry. I want to see how he plays next week.
So, what's your score again?
Low 20s and low 30s. Titans taking it maybe 33-21, something like that.
Okay. Gotcha. I'll write down our scores so we can review them next week.
Nice, awesome.
Yeah. So, I have this weird premonition that the Titans are about to mollywop the Browns.
Oh, just beat them down.
I thought the Colts were a much better team than the Browns were. Yeah. I don't know if much better.
Well,
but I think they're definitely a step above them.
Yeah.
I might go 41-24.
You think another 40 from us?
I think you guys are going to drop your second 40 burger in a row.
Ooh, I'd love it.
I think the Titans are a team that when they get hot, they're hot.
Yeah.
And Derrick Henry almost rushed for 200 rushing yards last week. I think he had like 170, maybe 150 somewhere.
I told you it was going to be 150, like in the first quarter.
I think he hit 150 in the third quarter. So I think he reached somewhere close.
It was 170, 180-ish.
But I'm definitely going to go 24 for the Browns and a whopping 41 for the Titans.
I'll throw some respect on the Colts from last week. They lost some really key players. I don't know if we get that many points against a healthy Colts defense.
I don't know. I think if they try to rely on the passing game to try to keep up with the Titans, I think that Baker Mayfield's going to get exposed.
Yeah.
Not that he hasn't been exposed already. But he will get more exposed.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about the Colts in this last section. Let's go to the Colts and Texans. Who you got?
This one's a toss-up. It's a shaky Colts team.
It shouldn't be a toss-up, but it is.
But it is. It is. You can't count not DeAndre Hopkins. He's no longer there, thank God. Deshaun Watson, you can never count him out, whether he's running the ball, throwing the ball, or even just recognizing the defense. He's a smart player. I think this is one where Indy bounces back. They figure out how to adapt without those key players that they're missing. The Texans keep it respectable, maybe have the lead for most of the game, but Phillip Rivers might pull them out of this one 24-21.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a close game, and I think it will not be a very high-scoring game. I'm a huge fan of Deshaun Watson, and I'm feeling a little risky this week. I like Watson in this game. No. I think he gives them an athletic ability with Fuller and Brandon Cooks, and the Johnson brothers running the football. It feels like they might be able to pull it out this week. I think it'll be a close and scrappy game. I'm going to give it 21 to 20 Texans.
Wow, that close.
I think something happens with the Colts. Maybe Vinatieri misses an extra point, which is unlikely. Or maybe they just kick 2 field goals and don't get a third touchdown.
Yeah.
But I see the Texans winning this game. It seems like they put up 40 points against the Lions, who aren't a good team, let's be honest. But the Colts are battered right now, and they look like they're on the downgrade right now. So we'll see what happens. But I'm going to go. What do you call it?
Texans.
Texans.
Texans. I hope you're right, because the Colts need to fall off further.
All right, let's go. Rams Cardinals. Another divisional matchup. Really good game. Both teams competing for the wild card / winning the division.
Yeah.
This division, the Seahawks probably are leading it right now, but it's hard to really say who's going to win this one. Rams defense is incredible. You got Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, a good secondary just in general.
Yeah.
Good defensive line, Michael Brockers, Leonard Floyd, who's
Yep.
really shown himself to be a good player now.
Is Miles Jacks there? Where did he go? Am I crazy?
I don't think he's there.
Okay.
He might have been there a couple years ago.
Okay, for a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. But I don't know. The Rams and the Cardinals are so even. I feel like the Cardinals might have a little bit left to be desired on defense, but the Rams have a little bit left to be desired on offense with passing.
Yeah.
It depends. If they're able to get to Jared Goff a lot, the Cardinals, I think that they pulled this off because Jared Goff makes mistakes under pressure. But if the Rams are able to contain Kyler Murray's running game, I don't think they pull this off. What do you got on this one?
Well, what you said is perfect, because do you think they can contain his running game? I don't think they can.
I don't know if they can. The Rams secondary might be able to get up there and get a good couple licks on him and see if that kind of dulls his abilities a little bit, makes him kind of scared to get out of the pocket. Because I think that's probably what it's going to take. A good linebacker hit from a safety, will kind of probably put that in order. But I don't know. Who do you got on this game?
I think the Rams are going to be the losers here. Genuinely, they won a game that was tough to win last week. The Cardinals lost a game that they should have won. Mm-hmm. I think momentum going into it is more on the Cardinals to prove they're a good team. Maybe not make the playoffs, but show Kyler Murray's working out. DeAndre Hopkins, second-round pick's amazing. Mm-hmm. Larry Fitzgerald still can get stuff done at his age. I don't know about next year. But I think Cardinals put on a show, 35. I think that the Rams might get a little suffocated on offense. I think they score quick once or twice. And maybe a 17-point game at the end where they just don't get a lot for a couple quarters.
Wow, so you're saying the Rams won't even hit 20?
No, I think for 2 weeks in a row, Goff is going to be exposed. I think this is the start of a crumbling quarterback, and we might see one of those good backups somewhere else in the league go in and start to contest that position.
I like that take because, even like a P.J. Walker.
There's so many good backup quarterbacks.
I think a P.J. Walker would be a great fit in L.A. It's just such like he was a star in the XFL. He's already known kind of how to be a star. He can be a star in L.A. as well. Back to this game, I got the Cardinals as well.
Nice.
But I think this is going to be more of a scrappy fight. I think the Rams defense will keep Kyler more in check.
Yeah.
I think Kyler kind of gets a little likes to throw the ball in areas where it's like, Kyler, can you throw it there? Should you throw it there? Kind of throwing that deep ball up sometimes. It's like, is that a punt or is that a pass?
Gambler.
If I didn't see where it came from, I might sometimes say it's a little bit of a punt. I'm going to go Rams 24, Cardinals 27. I think that the Cardinals squeak it out with a walk-off field goal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Just for my own personal reasons, how many touchdowns do you think Jared Goff gets this week? Do you think any of that's passing touchdown?
I say, man, maybe one passing touchdown.
One. I'm saying 0.
You're saying
from Goff.
0 passing touchdowns. All right, I'm going to write that down as well.
Write it down.
0 passing TDs from Goff. That's incredible.
I'm not high on him right now.
I don't know. I think Goff has some potential as long as he isn't got people in his face. With Andrew Whitworth being hurt, it's hard for them to get him good protection. But we'll see. Let's go Saints-Falcons. This is the rematch between Taysom Hill and Matt Ryan. Who do you got in this game? What do you think about it?
This one, I mean, mark your calendar, ask Google to set an alarm. Whatever you have to do to watch this game, watch it. Saints are just fun to watch with Drew Brees, without Drew Brees. It's just fun to watch how Sean Payton adapts. And just to see what this alleged heir to Drew Brees looks like. Mm-hmm. Not huge on him so far. He's very athletic, but at the quarterback position, lack of deep balls thrown, lack of quick passing, holds the ball a lot.
Hasn't passed more than 30 times in a game yet, so it's like, how if he passes, if he continued to pass more, would his completion percentage stay the same, or would it start to dwindle?
And I didn't know that. Thank you. That's a great point. That's so anti-Drew Brees. When you think of Drew Brees, that's 30 passes a game.
At least.
Yeah.
They split. They do about 30 passes, 30 runs, where it's like Taysom Hill, he's going to run more.
I think this is a point where Sean will see his error of letting Teddy walk away and signing Jameis for so much.
Yeah. I don't know if I believe in Teddy that much. Honestly, I feel like there might be a little better off with Taysom. Who knows? Taysom Hill's a 30-year-old quarterback.
Yeah.
He can still pull this off. We're going to talk about it more in legit versus shit with the Saints. I don't know who to. The Falcons last week really surprised me with that.
They're hot.
They're hot. I like the Falcons a lot. Talk about them later as well. Who you got in this game? Give me your score.
I'm going to go very low-scoring game.
Interesting.
I think Falcons stay hot for a couple more weeks, pull an upset here, but it's something like 17-14. We're talking less than 5 touchdowns,
okay.
1 field goal. Both teams are going to have trouble getting the ball up and down the field.
Gotcha. Sean Payton is undefeated with the last 2 years having backups in the middle of the season. I think he's going to continue the streak, but I think it's going to be a little bit of a squeaker as well, where they're not going to really. It's not going to be a blowout. It's not going to be like the last game where it was like 24-9, where the Falcons just couldn't punch it in. The Saints defense is still hot. I think they'll continue to be hot. I'm going to go 24-17 for the Saints this week.
Okay.
I don't think that the Falcons are going to be able to pull this one off, just because this defense is a different defense. I like the Raiders' defense a lot, but this defense is just different.
Yeah.
It's a Super Bowl defense that's emerging right at the end, and I think that they're going to continue that push into the end of this season.
Nice, yeah, I agree.
Final game of the week, we got Washington, old Frankenleg, who mollywopped my Cowboys last week, against the Steelers. Who you got in this game? What you think about it?
This one could be an upset. I didn't think Washington was capable of putting up that many points. I know you have some guys beat up on the defense, but it's still a 53-man NFL roster.
It is, no matter how many points you put up against what roster, even if it's the Jets. If you put 50 points up or 40 points up against the Jets, you're beating an NFL roster,
Yeah, well said. That's something that should be noted. And much like the Ravens towards the end of the season, it's easy for a team to get overconfident.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Steelers are due one loss this year. I don't know when it'll happen. I don't know which team will come in there and best them. But it could be this week, and I'm going to put my finger on it and say it is the week.
I think it is the week?
I think Washington might come in and upset them. They might be a little off their game, finally getting COVID. They might not protect Ben as much as they want to. Washington could come in, maybe not score as many points, but I mean, I think they could come in and score 31 to 27. I think that's what's going to happen. I think 31-27.
Wow. So you think the Steelers play from behind like most of the game, or what do you think?
I think it's not so much behind as a lead change. I think it's a game that you see offenses match. I think whoever gets ball first will score. I think second possession will score. We might see a few minutes without from both teams, and then they adapt and continue to score on each other.
Sure. The Steelers this week, I don't know. I don't know about the Steelers. They've had one of the easiest schedules all season.
Yes, they do.
And the Washington figures into that. You know, they're an easy team to beat for most teams. But they're also a little bit worrying because Riverboat Ron is a good coach. He makes good game plans, and he knows how to exploit weaknesses.
They can attack a quarterback, too.
And it's hard, with that defensive line.
Yeah.
But it's also hard to defeat a team that really hasn't shown them much weakness this year.
Well, that defense, the Steelers' Iron Curtain is back.
Yeah, the steel curtain.
The steel curtain. No, iron doesn't make sense.
I mean, there's iron and steel, but
steel's superior.
Steel is superior though. But for sure, I don't know. I can definitely see it going either way. I'm gonna either go Steelers just mollywop the football team, or the football team squeaks this one out. I'm gonna go a squeaker for some reason.
I love it.
For some reason, Washington pulls this one off.
Believe.
I'm gonna go 31-30. Washington pulls this off. I can't believe we both picked Washington this week. That's incredible.
Yeah, no, not even talking about it prior or putting much thought into it up until starting to hit record.
Wow.
I just think an upset's coming. This is the week.
That is incredible. Well, that's all for the first half of the podcast. Don't go anywhere. We're going to go to a short break, go empty our bladders real quick, and we'll be right back.
This is Coach Potatoes back from our break. We are excited to get back to some football, and I think Jeff is just ready to get us on our next topic.
So, next topic we got is the fabled legit versus shit. Everyone's talking about it. Don't tell your mom. We say bad words. But it is legit versus shit. If you're going to tell your mom, tell her legit versus boo, okay?
Tell your dad.
Tell your dad, though. Your dad's cool. I know Mike. He's a very nice guy.
Yeah.
So, we're going to talk about Tom Brady. Is he legit versus shit? I know you have some things to say. Dallas, what you got on old Brady?
With him being here on the chopping board, you have to think of it as an isolated year. Because football is a journey, and he's probably the journeyman of the NFL. I know he stayed in...
Right.
He's just...
But he has the most experience like a journeyman.
Yeah, I mean, when you think of the athlete almost anywhere, I mean, he is the guy. As many Super Bowls as he's gotten, the mentality he has. It's unnatural to see Tom Brady even in question. But he is. Watched him for a very long time. He dominated the AFC. I love watching AFC football until about the playoffs, at least for the last 10 years or so.
Yeah, it's nine appearances in the Super Bowl, 6 wins, which is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, that's absurd. I mean, AFC...
Over a 20-year stretch.
Yeah, I mean, that's consistency, and that's what you think of. And when you look at Brady this year, it's inconsistent, which is uncharacteristic. Bruce Arians is starting to question his fit in his scheme. He's starting to hesitate on new ideas, and Brady looks bad.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a Belichick disaster, but I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like, I think I mentioned it earlier, but I think Tom Brady and Belichick don't really realize how much they needed each other. I think that Tom Brady's fine-tunedness combined with Belichick's game planning really made for a incredible combination where they were able to. Tom Brady was going to execute the plan perfectly, and Belichick was going to game plan for the best solution to try to beat whatever team he's facing. Try to figure out ways to stop a running quarterback or try to figure out ways to stop an air raid offense. Whatever his goal is that week, Belichick is a defensive-minded coach and a very genius one. He's been around the league for a long time. He's led several teams to Super Bowl victories, so he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. An important note on him is every accomplishment of Brady is also Belichick's in the
Absolutely.
books.
Absolutely. It always will be unless something else happens in the next couple years with Brady and at the Bucks and Belichick at the Patriots. Tom Brady, though, I'm not sure where to put him. He's a mixed bag. I have immense respect for his mentality. Anyone who's going to have that killer instinct where it's like, I'm winning or you're going to go down with a win, kind of thing, where it's like, I'm not going to just let you win this without having to fight for it. There's been very few games in his career where it's just been a blowout, something like that.
And a pretty healthy guy. I mean, he's not missed a lot of football.
Had one big calf injury, one hand injury in the playoffs one time, but besides that, he's been a pretty steady guy. I just don't know if he is the best fit with Bruce Arians, because before, Belichick is a game planning guy, with Brady being able to execute that game plan excellently. Now he's with Bruce Arians, who is more of a kind of execute on the fly kind of guy.
Yeah.
And that's not really how Brady is. He's a more polished quarterback. He's not the greatest quarterback if you look at it from a kind of like athletic kind of ability. He's the greatest fine-tuned quarterback.
Yes.
The most polished quarterback. The greatest statue quarterback.
And he's proven it so far. I mean, someone gets 7 rings.
Absolutely. It's incredible. He has an opportunity to get that 7th ring. He has the opportunity to continue on his second hand of rings. He's already on it. He can continue it.
More rings than most other teams.
More rings, yeah. More rings than most franchises altogether.
Well,
Brady, I just don't know if it depends on what your definition of legit or shit is with this one. Because if you want to look at what he's done so far with the Bucks, it's also year 1, so this isn't, when you're doing experimenting, you would do it a couple times to confirm your, analysis. You don't just do one trial and that's it. So I think with the Brady experiment at the Buccaneers, I think we got to get it one more year. But for now, I'm going to put Brady as a slight legit. Just because he's been able to connect with a couple receivers. Mike Evans and him are starting to hit it a stride. That running game is definitely helping him, but I don't think he's no Pat Mahomes, obviously. I don't even know if he is a Phillip Rivers. Maybe just even with Phillip Rivers, who's not terrible, but also has had some of the same problems. But what do you think about Brady?
I think what you said is important. The context, and it is just year 1 with a completely different coaching scheme and atmosphere.
Absolutely.
I mean, when you think of Brady,
it's a completely different culture.
You think Patriots way, and I mean Arians, from what I understand, is a pretty laid back guy.
Has the biggest coaching staff of any coaching in the whole league. So basically, kind of meaning there's a lot of other heads taking over his job for him.
Yeah, and he clearly has a lot of influence there. Getting Gronk back, AB being there. I'm not ready to call him shit or past his prime. He's still legit to me. Maybe give him another year, but he isn't the guy that dominated the AFC for over a decade.
Definitely not.
And I like him. I do. I really do. I didn't think I did when he was a Patriot, but in this new culture, he's a cool guy. I'm glad that he's still playing, but not that same quarterback.
He definitely reminds me of my a sort of dad figure where he's not he's kind of he's a little cocky when it comes to competition.
Yeah.
But he's a cheese ball.
Yeah.
He's not this evil figure that he was with the Patriots anymore. So it's kind of hard to be mad at him. But
he slides in for legit with me too.
you got him. You got him a slight legit.
Yeah, for at least a couple more years.
I say yeah. If by the end of next year it's clear that he's just not able to connect with receivers, he can't mesh with this game plan, then I think he'll be in the shit category for these last 2 seasons. Obviously, you can't put his whole career in the shit.
No, yeah.
But that's Brady. Let's go on to the Raiders, and we're in parentheses. We're doing Derek Carr as well, because we talked to him about him last week in legit versus shit. But go ahead and take the floor. Tell us what you got for the Raiders. What do you think about them?
The Raiders, I love the culture. I miss the black hole. It's an amazing venue they have now. But a quick highlight on Derek Carr is a athletic guy that maybe holds on to the ball a little too long. Mm-hmm. A similar thing I saw with his backup Mariota in Tennessee. So when you have a quarterback like that, it's hard for the offense to succeed. Defensively, there's nothing that wows me. There's nothing that I think is a gaping hole. But it's hard to rank them with so much going on, moving, and such a young team. I'm gonna have to say that they are shit.
Wow.
Really. There's 32 teams, and none of them have an excuse to be bad.
Yeah.
There's plenty of money and talented minds surrounding each team.
Absolutely.
That you just have to succeed. They're not gonna be the Jets, so cleaning house isn't gonna work.
No, my thing with Gruden is he's just too inconsistent. I don't understand why. It seems like he gets like a big win, or maybe he didn't even win the previous week. He narrowly lost to the Chiefs, which is a huge feat, and he beat the Chiefs previously. But at the same time, you got to look at it like, how isn't Gruden going to be able to game plan well for the Falcons, a team that struggled all year? And this could just be the 43-6 loss to the Falcons could just kind of be a fluke where they were like, oh, we didn't plan for this team to like do this. But when you lose to a team that has a losing record and you're in contention for, possibly winning the division and probably going to get a wild card spot, you have to look at it like this is a win or bust kind of game, even if you're playing the Falcons.
Yeah.
And if you get blown out in that game, it kind of makes me question, what's the game plan here? Because I think the Raiders' offensive line, after watching them a little bit, looked lost that game. It looked like, for whatever reason, they were able to get to Derek Carr a lot. Derek Carr had 3 lost fumbles, which you can't credit Derek Carr for all the way. He held onto the ball too long, which is a chronic problem for him. But you also got to look at it like they're getting to him a lot. And I think that the Falcons came out with a surprisingly good defensive plan. And the Raiders just didn't plan, they didn't have a plan to stop any sort of defensive plan, because I guess they just assumed that they weren't going to do anything.
There was no counter.
All these different players on the Falcons that are like still studs, like Matt Ryan, Deion Jones, the middle linebacker, Calvin Ridley,
freaks.
Even Gage Jr., their third wide receiver, he's still a stud. They're all studs, and I think Matty Ice is way underrated. I don't know. The Raiders, I'm gonna keep them in a slight legit. The same thing happened last season where I thought they were gonna start heating up and possibly even take the division from the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they had the same thing where they got inconsistent at the end, and that led them to not be able to be successful.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's either Gruden or if it's the offensive line or if it's Derek Carr. But I'm going to put them in a slight legit just because I think it's an inconsistency mark, not a whole mark on their team overall.
We agree on the reason, but place them differently. Mm-hmm. Statistically, Derek's having a great year.
Absolutely, really.
Yeah. It's just that inconsistency towards the end that makes me hesitate that they can put together a good season.
Absolutely. I still think they'll probably squeak out a wild card, but we'll see. Next team, legit versus shit, the Cardinals. Give me. You want me to do this?
Yeah, good. Take the floor with the Cardinals. Okay. I know where I lay with them. I'll keep it short and sweet. I want to hear what you say.
Gosh, Kyler Murray, still one of my top MVP candidates. Unfortunately, he's fallen a little bit just in the reality that is the MVP race. because his team hasn't succeeded very much. They've succeeded a good amount this season, but I can't really see them being over a 10-6 team overall. Which, will still probably get them some sort of wild card spot and a chance in the tournament that is the playoffs. Kyler Murray is an extreme athlete. He can run much better than I thought he ever could. His passing, he has a strong arm, stronger than you would think he would, because he looks like a first grader running out there among 6'8" men.
Yeah, he's a short man.
Absolutely,
short king.
He's a short king. Short kings rule the world.
Short kings.
I think Vladimir Putin's 5'9", so let's chill out on hating the short people.
Shout out to any other person that's under 6 foot.
Just if you're under 6 foot, shout out to you.
No.
But the Cardinals, their defense is spotty. Their defensive coaching is spotty too. Who's that fast linebacker that they drafted this year? Isaiah something, right?
Did they get Simmons?
Isaiah Simmons.
Yeah, that's right. They did land Simmons.
He hasn't been playing a whole lot of snaps. He's just recently started to get snaps. So their defensive coaching is questionable to me. I don't think their defense is that bad. They have some good secondary. Kirkpatrick was one that I even listed off today to Dallas. And also Patrick Peterson and Budda Baker. They have a good secondary.
Yeah, wow.
And linebacker-wise, they have some good linebackers back there as well. With Isaiah Simmons, he needs to get more snaps. He's a very quick player, a very athletic player. And it feels like some of the coaching on the defense might be the issue. On the offensive side, Kyler just needs to learn to connect with more of his receivers better. Him and Isabella have been kind of hitting a stride recently, but him and Hopkins are not, which is unfortunate because Hopkins has a catch radius of 1,000,000 miles.
Yeah.
So they just got to develop a little bit of chemistry.
Wingspan of a plane.
Absolutely, yeah. We just got to wait for them to get some chemistry, and I still think the Cardinals are a hard legit. Not a lock-in legit, but they're a good legit. What do you got on them?
I mean, what you said, but times two.
Absolutely.
I have them as a concrete, legit team for a long time.
Yeah.
I see young talent that will just get better.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray, love him at this point. I would take him over DeAndre at this point. Or, my apologies. I always think of DeAndre when I think of the Texans.
Oh, you mean Watson?
Yeah,
okay.
Watson. I would take him over Watson at this point. I would take him over nearly every AFC South quarterback. Mm-hmm. Just an absolute talent. He may be short, but his ceiling's high.
Yeah. I think he's definitely top 5 at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
For this season, at least.
For this season, and I think ongoing, at least a talking point at quarterback. With so much talent, even getting older, DeAndre Hopkins isn't the youngest guy in the league. Larry Fitzgerald is sort of passing the torch point to Hopkins to be the next sturdy guy, the reliable wide receiver. Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting to see what replaces him. But I love that offense. I love that defense. Coaching standpoint, offense, amazing. Mm-hmm. I love that youth sort of creative college-style offensive coaching.
Yeah, it's definitely more interesting than what we've seen traditionally, especially with teams like the Vikings, who are just we're going to give it to Dalvin Cook and then one bootleg pass a game that's a big play for Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, hard legit for me, though.
Okay.
I think it's a sleeper team for a long time.
Gotcha. Well, I'm still a little torn on the Cardinals. I want to see them do more. I like Kyler Murray a lot, but we'll see. Let's go to the Browns. You go ahead and start us off. You've had a lot of choice words about the Browns in the past. You're not very nice to the dog pound, but go ahead and take the floor.
It's a dog pound for a reason. It's a trap NFL team. No matter what happens, they are bad. I don't know if it's Baker Mayfield. I don't know if it's incompetence to get a good coach in there. I like the coaching now.
Yeah.
That's why it's a question for me. Over 500 this far into the season is...
First time in a long time.
It matter. Very admirable for them. I love to see them stay competitive, but I think the inexperience to have a longer than 16, 17 week season will catch up to them, even if they make the wild card. I don't think this is the Browns' year, but I think it's finally time to say they might be a legit NFL team.
Yeah.
So if you stayed in that dog pound and still are, kudos to you, because that's tough.
Yeah, the Dog Pound fans, you guys are incredible.
Yeah.
I've been a strong Cowboys fan this whole year, but it's hard. It's a tough one to have to watch every game when we're getting blown out. Continue, please.
I just think it's time that they can take their brown bags off their head and finally look their team in the eyes and see a legit football team.
You got them on legit.
I have them on legit, even with a quarterback like Mayfield.
Yeah, I think the only problem on that team is Mayfield. I don't see...
That's so rough to hear. God.
The defense is solid. The defense is might not be the best defense ever, but it's a solid defense, and that's what you need. The offense, you got Kareem Hunt, you got Nick Chubb, even Johnson, their third running back. He's a solid player.
And they're without Odell right now. I mean, you're right.
Yeah, Odell, when he's healthy, a stud. Jarvis Landry, when he's healthy, he's a stud. Only thing that's been a problem these last few years when they've starting to rebuild has been Baker Mayfield. He's been inconsistent.
Yeah.
Whenever he has performed really well, it was at the end of the season when there was nothing on the line. They took out Tyrod Taylor that one year where they were competing for the job halfway through, and when they were mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, who excelled really well? Baker Mayfield. That's what rookie quarterbacks do. And that's what Baker Mayfield has continued to do. He's continued to be a rookie quarterback. He doesn't improve the issues that I see. He tries to be too athletic when in college you can do that because half of the guys who are there aren't going to go to the NFL. Even majority of the guys you're playing against aren't going to go to the NFL. The only problem is Baker Mayfield. You got to move on from Baker. He thinks he's athletic. He's not. He's no Lamar Jackson. He's not even. He's not a Phillip Rivers. Like he's not a statue. But he's more of a Jared Goff. And he's a shorter guy, too. So he doesn't even get to have the, where you can kind of be like, oh, Jared Goff is like a tall quarterback and he has like the stature and everything. Baker Mayfield's a little guy,
Yeah.
He's going to get abused if he tries to run out there like every single play.
Less pocket awareness, less ability to see down the field in a close pocket.
Yeah. But no matter what, I'm still hard that the Browns are going to steal the wild card spot if the Ravens aren't able to squeak one out. I think at the end of this day, the Browns are going to be second place in that division, and the Ravens will be third place.
What a fun division.
I love that division. But I'm going to go legit on the Browns. Even though I'm hard that Baker Mayfield is the problem there, I think that the coaching is going to be able to overcome him and make it to the playoffs. They won't go far in the tournament, but they're going to make it.
I would like to emphasize real quick, I still hate the Browns. Still hate all of you. So I just respect you now.
It's a love-hate relationship.
No love.
Okay.
Just respect.
Just hate.
Just hate.
Hate, respect.
Yeah, hate, respect.
I like that a lot. Let's go to the Dolphins. That division, the AFC East, is already so competitive. I kind of want to hear what your take on the Dolphins is so far, though, because you haven't spoke much on them, but I want to hear it.
Well, it's a team that I didn't think was competent until I looked at their record a couple weeks ago. It made me look at them with a new sense of criticism, with actual expectations. And I think my biggest takeaway is Tua the answer? Was that a good choice? As a whole, the Dolphins have continued to wow me since beating the Patriots and sort of rattling them into a wild card position last year.
Yeah.
They just find a way to win, and I don't know if that's good coaching, a good locker room, but it seems like the Dolphins want to compete in a very competitive division.
For sure, yeah. They're definitely strong competitors.
I watched them for the last 2 days pretty harshly, and I think they are a legit team with Fitzpatrick and can maintain a winning season with Tua. I just don't know if he can be that consistent.
Yeah. There's a lot of people who have been either super high on Tua or super low on Tua. And at the end of the day, I think he might not. We just don't know yet.
Yeah.
This is his first season. Some people are calling him Rookie of the Year. Some people are telling us that he's going to be the opposite of Drew Brees. He's going to be the short guy who couldn't make it.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's true. If you watch any of the Alabama tape, you see that Tua is able to make big plays in big moments. And maybe he's just sort of a game manager at this point. Their running game has been steady. They have some incredible wide receivers like Devontae Parker who have just been making plays when no one else thought they would.
Yeah.
The defense side, Brian Flores is just such a smart coach. He's a Belichickian almost. You know, he comes from the Belichick tree, but he also is a Belichickian style coach where he's going to game plan the defense effectively. They mollywopped the Rams a few weeks ago. So I definitely see the Dolphins still being a legit team who are only one game behind the Bills, I'm pretty sure. So we'll see on the Dolphins. You know, it's hard to say. It's hard to count them out with Brian Flores. Tua's kind of like a question mark right now. I think if Tua hasn't been causing problems, though, which is my thing. Tua hasn't had a lot of interceptions. So it's like, you know, if you're not the playmaker, if you're not throwing a lot of interceptions, I'm kind of like, you know?
Yeah, at this point, you need something else to get the offense going.
Yeah.
And one guy that I do want to highlight is Gesicki at tight end. He's had a great season.
Yeah, Gesicki is a beast. He'll be a top 5 tight end soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
If not already.
But where do they lay with you?
I'm going to go legit, too.
Legit, yeah.
I think they're similar to the Browns where they have a lot of question marks. Because they're an unproven commodity yet. This is still a rebuilding franchise, similar to the Browns. Even though the Browns are should be rebuilt by now, and the Dolphins are just starting their rebuild. They're both unproven commodities that we need more time to see. I think this team will get into the tournament at a wild card spot, hopefully, but we'll have to wait and see. They could even win this division if the Bills. I think the Bills and the Dolphins play Week 17. So we'll have to see if that they're that close still, where it's one game will decide the division kind of thing. We'll just kind of have to wait and see on the Dolphins, but they're legit for me. Not a hard legit, but they're a solid legit. Next, let's go to the Patriots, the dynasty that was 20 years that looks a little defunct. You go ahead and speak on them, Dallas. You've had to deal with the Patriots for a very long time, and I know you're happy that they're not as great.
Yeah, I talked about them a bit when we talked about the Cardinals and Patriots game earlier. They are a bad football team now. Belichick has proven he's a good coach. He's the best coach, and he can't even make a solid, consistent production unit out of this offense. So I know a lot of players chose to sat out at the beginning, and every team has had a rough year.
Yeah.
But others have adapted better than the Patriots, which just doesn't happen, or at least didn't happen for 20 years before this.
I will say I would expect the Patriots to be the ones who adapt, but the Patriots have to adapt to a lot more than I think some teams have, just because they had a lot right at the beginning.
Yeah,
where it's hard to establish chemistry because everyone's a new guy now.
Yeah, and that's still a great defense through all the years. It's not the best defense that we saw last year, but it's still a defense you have to game plan for and play damn good football to beat. It's just some sort of offensive struggle that will not get fixed, I think, this year. It'll be interesting to see what personnel comes in and what talent they get in next year. But for this year, and unless a lot changes, I'm saying a firm shit on the Patriots.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
How about you, Jeff?
Whew. The Patriots are so interesting. They're 5-6 with the Dolphins ahead of them at 7-4 and the Bills ahead of them at 8-3.
Yeah.
So far, they are an under 500 team with a lot of teams like we've mentioned a lot of players like we mentioned who have opted out for the season due to COVID. And they've lost a lot of leadership roles. It's tough to call them anyway. Belichick, I don't think you can ever count him out until he's mathematically out of the playoffs.
That's fair.
I don't think he's rationally out of the playoffs yet. I think he could, for whatever reason, bounce back. Figure out a way to sort of make a super conservative offense that's able to at least put up 20 points a game, and then just really game plan for the defense and see if you can keep them under 20. I think that's their only path forward from now on. I think with Belichick at the helm, it's hard to call them shit. but unlike the Raiders, like that I gave them a slight legit, I'm going to give, or excuse me, I think I gave Tom Brady a slight legit. I think I'm going to give the Patriots a slight shit. I think that yin and the yang that was Tom Brady and the Patriot way is no longer together. They're out of balance. They got to figure out another way to bring not the specific halves of Tom Brady and the Patriots together, but find a way to get more conservative in their offense and figure out a way to try to just play smash mouth football, old school football, where they're able to consistently put up 20 or more points. So I'm going to have to go slight shit on them. What did you give them?
I gave them a firm shit.
You gave them a firm shit. Wow. That's impressive. I respect that, but I can't do that to Belichick. I just don't trust him to be shit.
Belichick is the one piece on that plate that isn't shit, but that doesn't make a good plate.
It's true. It's not a good plate to look at, but it might taste better than you think.
Well, after that, I think I would love to hear what you have to say about our next piece on the platter.
Yeah, the next piece on this platter of quarterback and team hors d'oeuvres is we got the Saints with Taysom Hill. Are they legit or shit? I don't know. What do you... I got a lot of thoughts, but I want to hear you first.
Okay, the Saints are a team that I've always liked them. It's a fun game, whether you're in the dome or they're on the road. Yeah, the fans are going to talk shit, but they laugh about it. I've never had a bad experience, and I respect Drew Brees for everything he did for them. I don't know if we'll see him dress up again. Sean is an amazing coach, but I think he's realized he doesn't have an answer at quarterback. He may have let his answer leave when Bridgewater found a better deal, but Drew Brees is hurt consistently now. Taysom is still an athletically gifted just freak, but he's not producing at quarterback, and he's had years to understand that offense.
Absolutely.
And why give Winston all this money? There's a lot of question marks at quarterback.
But Taysom Hill's almost getting paid $20 million a year as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of money for a 30-year-old quarterback that doesn't have a lot of time to start producing.
It's true. It's in these next couple of games, it's really going to be telling if Taysom is the answer after Brees. Brees will definitely start after Taysom unless Brees just can't start physically.
Yeah.
I think he'll definitely be back this season, if not right before the playoffs, in the playoffs. This team is definitely going to the playoffs. They're still my Super Bowl pick no matter what.
Wow.
Unless, their defense just stops showing to be that stellar defense that it is. Taysom, I don't know. I think he's had a really good completion percentage. Not a whole lot of yards. Not very flashy when it comes to passing. But it's consistent. He had one pick last week, which isn't, you don't want to see a pick, but I like to see at least one pick, out of 2 games. I'm okay with that.
No.
If you're throwing multiple picks, multiple games, I'm not okay with that. I'm gonna go Taysom Hill with the Saints as legit, just because I think that solid running game and being able to connect on short passes with their receivers is going to be a consistent thing that works in the NFL. How do you feel about that?
I think with the Saints, similar to the plate of the Patriots mentality, except there is more good than bad. Mm-hmm. Sean is incredible through everything he's ever had to deal with as the head coach there. Drew Brees, he's been without for a while, 2 years in a row. Mm-hmm. And he's shown to adapt to that. I just don't know if they have an answer at quarterback, and even if they lose Michael Thomas next year, that's a good roster that stays legit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think they just stay legit. The coaching is too good.
Yeah.
The defense is too good.
Yep.
It's hard to count them out, and they will be my Super Bowl pick until I find reasons otherwise.
You should see them for a long time, at least playing until January.
Mm-hmm. I think so. I think NFC Championship is probably the floor the floor for them. All right. I'm gonna stick legit with them.
Yeah.
They're definitely legit. But let's go on to our conspiracy corner. We're putting on our tinfoil hats. These aren't necessarily 100% serious takes, but I do have some passion behind my takes this week. I think last week Dallas had a little bit more than I did, and then this week we're going to kind of flip the roles. I got a little bit. I have three. Well, he has, I believe, one or two major ones that he wants to go over. Go ahead and tell us your conspiracy, though.
Well, I do have just a couple, so
Okay.
I'll give you one, give you the floor, and then finish with mine, just because it leads in to our next segment.
Okay.
But for now, it's a question mark for a lot of teams, whether they make the playoffs or not. My conspiracy is maybe one that has been figured out, but the Ravens don't make the postseason. I think
that was I said the same thing in my conspiracy last week, and I agree with you.
it's something that I've sort of understood after another week of football, that something is broken there. I don't know if it's Lamar. I don't know if it's the adapting to COVID, but this just is not the Ravens' year, which is just such a defeating blow for an organization that seemed unstoppable last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that's really it for me. We'll have to see in the next couple weeks what happens, but they might be on a sour losing streak.
For sure.
With you though, I love conspiracies, so tell me what you have.
All right, the tinfoil helm is on my hat on my head.
You just put it on.
I put it on. It's on. You can't see it, but I'm wearing my tinfoil crown. Let's start with the Atlanta Falcons.
Okay.
Who are they? What are they? Matty Ice is a completely underrated quarterback. Matty Ice, if he was playing for a team such as the Chiefs or a team such as the Cowboys, who have a great, wide receiving core.
Would you say even the Patriots?
I would not say the Patriots because they have a terrible, terrible wide receiving core. They need to improve that first.
So he needs talent.
He needs talent, but most quarterbacks do. Even if Patrick Mahomes puts up numbers in some regard because of the talent around him. He's a talented quarterback, don't get me wrong, but the talent around him helps him.
Yeah. What else about the Falcons, man?
They beat the Raiders 43-6. This interim head coach might not be the answer of the future, but this division that they're in, the NFC South, is not very stable.
What's the young name for that beatdown? What kind of WAP?
That's a mollywap.
That's they did mollywap.
That is a mollywap. I can't, the Saints, they could collapse. With Breeze gone and Taysom Hill kind of being a shaky answer, you don't know. Jameis Winston might get in there and throw 100,000 picks. He might
eat a W.
He might, eat a W while he's taking L's. In the Bucks, Brady is a limited. He doesn't have many years left. Maybe 3 at the max, if I had to assume. Brady wants to play much longer than that, I'm sure, but I doubt he's going to. The Buccaneers, don't seem like they have the regimented kind of sort of mentality where they're going to win in the future several years in a row. Bruce Arians doesn't have that all put together. And the Panthers are struggling too. I don't think Teddy Bridgewater is the answer of the future. He's been injured a lot. He's been inconsistent. He's made some good, solid plays when he's playing conservatively. But when you ask him to make, crazy plays like, in my opinion, a Dak Prescott would, or something like where he's just going to will his way into the next, series, it doesn't seem like he's going to do that often. I think the Panthers might struggle for a few years because of that.
Yeah.
I think P.J. Walker might leave and get a deal after this season with a team, and they won't have an answer at quarterback if he's not there, in my opinion. I see the Falcons, they got to hire Eric the Enemy or Arthur Smith.
Don't take Arthur, please.
They're going to take one of those guys.
Okay.
They have to hire Eric the Enemy or Arthur Smith. This team has so much offensive talent. They have Todd Gurley, who's showing himself to be a good running back again after he left the Rams. I think that you got to give this team one more chance. They even have a chance. I think they're 4-7 at the moment, maybe 5-7.
Yeah,
they have a chance of becoming a 9-7 team and maybe squeaking out some sort of wild card.
That was the Titans' record last year.
It is not impossible to them to squeak past the Bucs. They could beat the Saints this week. They could continue to win, and maybe the Bucs collapse at the end of the season. Who knows? This division is so volatile. We don't know.
I love it.
More likely for me, though, is that they bounce back next year. Maybe make another 2016 run with a new head coach like Eric Bieniemy or Arthur Smith. Who knows what will happen. I think with Dan Quinn gone, you lose some of that unpolishedness that he was as a coach. And we'll continue to see. I think Eric Bieniemy is a great choice. Arthur Smith would be my second choice. But I think he'll definitely get a job somewhere else as well. Unfortunately for Dallas. But let's go to my next one. I got the Steelers. Steelers have a 10-0 start. They have the easiest strength of schedule of any team in the NFL. Ben Roethlisberger is not that great. Let's be honest. Those knees are shaky. He's gotten hurt a lot.
His arm looks half robotic.
I want to ask you real quick.
Yeah.
And this might not help my point, but I just want to see what you have to say. Would you say Phillip Rivers or Ben Roethlisberger is a better quarterback right now?
Put on the spot, and this is completely off guard, I would have to say Phillip Rivers.
You would say Phillip Rivers? Okay.
I'm not huge on Rivers, but I'm less on Roethlisberger.
Well, you're not wrong statistically.
Wow.
Phillip Rivers has 2,683 passing yards this season, with Ben Roethlisberger having 2,534 passing yards. It's a difference of about 150 passing yards between them.
Yeah.
That's about half of a game for most quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Maybe even a whole game for some quarterbacks. So Phillip Rivers isn't really, a lot of people will have Phillip Rivers low on that kind of top 10 quarterbacks, even, below that. With Ben Roethlisberger, you're going to put him below Phillip Rivers just because of that. And even Dallas, before even mentioning the stats, was already low on Ben Roethlisberger. That defense is incredible, though. And James Conner and Mapletron are incredible. But this team has not faced anyone hard. This team has had to go against teams that aren't really that serious. This team should win this division in a normal season. But I also think that the Ravens in a normal season would have also been able to mollywop them at least once this season. I don't think that the Steelers would be 10-0 if it wasn't for COVID, and also they have such an easy schedule. I think people don't know what to expect with Ben Roethlisberger, and occasionally he makes a interesting play where he kind of flips the ball out or something like that, and you're just not expecting it. But the Steelers are not 100% the team that's going to get into the playoffs. I don't think the Steelers... I'm hard-pressed to see the Steelers in the AFC Championship. They will not make the Super Bowl 100% for me.
Real quick, before you go to your next point, that's just a lot to soak in. I think it's a team with good coaching that's hiding behind a better record than they are. 10-0 is impressive, but when you look at their opponents, they've been bad. Mm-hmm. This is Kool-Aid that I'm drinking, man. It's a team that will not make the Super Bowl. You're right. I love that take.
It was a hot take. It took a lot out of me. But I do, even though this is a hot take, I still feel passionate that I don't think the Steelers, even if they do make the Super Bowl, they're not going to win. I don't see them being able to compete with the NFC. The NFC just has so many teams that are in contention, and I think if you placed a couple of the teams that are maybe in contention for a wild card in the AFC, they might be a little bit of a better team.
They're the Raven repeat.
Absolutely. I don't think you see an AFC North team winning the Super Bowl this year. Last one. Matthew Stafford. Drafted about 10 years ago now. They have rebuilt 3 times around this man. The Lions will forever be shit. The Lions do not know how to rebuild a team. It doesn't matter if they have Megatron. It doesn't matter if they have, Julio Jones on their team, for all I care. The Lions are worse than the Browns, inevitably. Will always be. I will never step down from this. The Lions are my Browns. For that, a lot of people will compare teams to the Browns. The Lions are my Browns. It's time to move on and look at getting Zach Wilson. Why don't you guys trade with the Cowboys to get their number 4 overall pick at this point, depending on where the Cowboys land at the end of the season? Why don't you guys trade with us? Come get Zach Wilson from us, because that's a prime position to pick him at number 4. We can still get whatever player we want. You give us some of that draft capital. Right now, the Lions are drafting at 9. They still have a shot at getting Zach Wilson, but I think they have a better shot if they trade up. It's time to be aggressive. It's time to stop with this awful ownership. The Lions are going to be a shit team until they get a new owner, or the owner starts to let off and allows this team to be great. The year that they picked up Matthew Stafford, they were 0-16. Now they have been a even Steven team, just going 9-7, 8-8. This year, Matt Patricia is just like, you're not even going 9-7 anymore. I'm going to make you guys worse. It's time to pick up an offensive-minded coach. I think Arthur Smith is a perfect pick for this team.
Why do you want him gone? Why do you want
I
him
don't
taken
want
away
Arthur
from me?
Smith gone. He's a great fit at the Titans. Maybe he'll give you guys one more season, but he deserves a coaching position, a head coach position. They're wasting talent right now. They have an old AP who still has a little bit of gas left in the tank.
God bless him.
With the football team formerly known as the Red Blank, they were able to the Washington team. Yeah. They were able to use him effectively and get whatever gas out of the tank that they could. He still has a little gas. They also have Swift, who has shown himself to be a solid running back too, and even starting over AP. Hawkinson, who is an incredible tight end. He's made play after play. Every time I watch the Lions, he's popping off my screen. Kenny Golladay.
Yeah, great wide receivers there.
They need to allow this guy to either be traded away, or they need to figure out another place or another quarterback that can throw to him. Matthew Stafford does not deserve this anymore. Get rid of Matthew Stafford, trade him, figure out a way to get him out of town, because you guys have wasted his talent for over 10 years, and it's time to give it up. You cannot rebuild a 4th team around Matthew Stafford. It's just not right to him. Even Jones Jr., their other, I think he's the 2nd wide receiver, he's a stud as well. They're not taking care of their players. They need to ship some of these good players out because it's not right to them. It's abuse to these poor players who have had to play for the Browns of the NFC for the longest time. That's all I got on that.
Wow. I love the passion. I love the takes. I mean, what you're essentially asking the Lions to do is what the Dolphins did in moving so much talent so fast and just accumulate picks, essentially.
That's what they should do. Keep the young guys who still have a lot of gas in the tank. Trade the old guys like Matthew Stafford. Maybe even AP. There might be a team out there like, the Jets next year who don't have a starting running back, really. They have Gore and they have Perrine, who aren't really studs at that position. Gore not anymore. But give him AP. Maybe AP can have a bounce back year where he kind of is an underdog at the Jets, and him and Trevor Lawrence are able to hook up on a couple screens or something. Yeah,
you could potentially get a 4th, 5th, 6th round pick, and I mean, talent falls that low. Look at Tom Brady.
It doesn't matter where the pick is. It's about the evaluation of the talent. Get a GM in there who's able to evaluate talent really well. Get an offensive-minded coach like Arthur Smith or Eric the Enemy, and lead this team back to success. This team has never won a Super Bowl, never won an NFC Championship, I believe. I don't know if they've been to the NFC Championship before.
They've been irrelevant.
They are one of the worst teams. Them and the Cardinals historically are some of the worst teams. Cardinals are way better than them now, but historically those are two of the worst teams of all time. That's it for me for the Lions.
Wow, I love your takes. That is all interesting stuff that we'll see answers for soon. I'm gonna look into those. I love it.
Yeah.
I do have one more conspiracy.
No one will expect this one.
Oh, me? For mine?
Yeah, no one will expect this.
I'm sure you can guess it. My MVP candidate that has been talked about has now moved into a firm number 1 spot, Derrick Henry. He is the cog that works the hardest on any offense in the league. Something that he did last week that I haven't even seen him do is utilize every tool he has in his belt. Whether it was a spin, whether it was a truck, a stiff arm, or even a hesitation to go into a gap, it seemed like he took whatever he could to get a yard, 2, 5, 7, 20. And this is his favorite time of the year to play. If you look at 2019 Derrick Henry, at this point, he only got stronger.
Absolutely.
Jeff, he doesn't even need a 200-yard game to break 2,000 yards. He's at like 1,300 or something.
Okay.
It's absolutely achievable for him to reach 2,200 yards in 2020.
Do you think he will get that before the postseason?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
I think he will.
Okay.
And not even just on the stat boards. I want to shout out Derrick Henry's pass blocking, Derrick Henry's ability to stay healthy through the whole game, stay gassed. He's pulling himself off the field. He's letting coaches do that late in the second. You made a great point watching our game last time of him being pulled out, realizing that was a fake for Tannehill.
Absolutely.
You knew he wasn't getting the ball.
I won't lie. I was literally yelling at my phone while watching the game. This is a fake. They've had Derrick Henry out this whole series. There's no way that they're not going to use him as a decoy to try to preserve him later.
And we've never had a running back like this in the league ever. Someone this big, this fast, and a coaching scheme that has it figured out.
It's like an Earl Campbell combined with a Barry Sanders.
It is, and it's 6'3".
Yeah, 6'4", I believe.
He's a beast. I don't know, but
it's too tall to be a running back, and it works too well.
This man already has 1,257 yards.
It's achievable.
He needs about 1,000 more. 943 yards.
Well, you said he's at 1,250?
Yep, 1,250.
Then he needs 750 yards.
Well, to get to 20, I'm saying 2,200, Jeff. I'm saying
before the postseason too.
I'm saying before the postseason.
Wow, I love it, but I don't know if I believe it.
I'm gonna keep saying it every week.
Every week, we will continue to pound this. Dallas will continue to pound this gavel. I will listen in fear.
Well,
but I respect the take. You have a lot of passion for Derrick Henry, and if you want to put every single player out in this league, the single greatest and most athletically gifted player, I think Derrick Henry is very high in that. Maybe last year you would have said Lamar Jackson. This year Kyler Murray is certainly in that race, but Derrick Henry, Tractor Cito, King Henry, is the greatest athlete this year. Just if you have to look at everyone on the table, he's an incredible athlete.
He has 12 touchdowns this year.
Incredible.
I cannot express enough
that's
how
at least
high.
That's at least one per game.
Yeah, I mean he's just been the cog that doesn't break.
It's true. It's absolutely true.
That was my last conspiracy. So from that point, I just had my moment to get on my soapbox, talk about my boys for a little bit.
Yeah, let's talk about our teams for a minute. Go ahead and talk about your Titans. You're already on Derrick Henry, so let's continue then.
I'll wrap it up. I'll wrap up the Titan spiel. Shout out to Quisenberry at left tackle. You did amazing. I can't wait to see you again. Derrick Henry, just keep doing what you're doing, man. Tannehill, stay smart, stay healthy. A.J. Brown, next stud wide receiver in the league, top 3, if not top 1 in a year or two. Even Corey Davis showing up. Jonnu Smith, incredible. It's a young, good offense. And defensively, studs like Kevin Byard, Jeffrey Simmons, even Rashawn Evans, who hasn't lived up to round 1. I mean, he's playing at least a starting role in our team. This is a defense that hasn't had a Dory Jackson, and it shows.
Yeah.
Our secondary is weak. Our rush is strong. And I think we will continue to just have our hand on the throat of the AFC South.
all of the criticisms I had of you guys have definitely started to be resolved. The pass rush is starting to show up again. The secondary has shown up again. The offense is becoming more and more consistent. Derrick Henry has continued to be better and better as the season goes on, which is just impossible for running back. Usually they're hurt by this point. Usually they're dinged up. He just takes the blows and absorbs them and continues to run and is even become more and more agile, it looks like, as the season goes on.
Yeah,
it looks like he's starting to get his legs, starting to get his juice under, get all that juice in his legs, starting to finish out the season strong.
Yeah, and that is all the positives of my sweet, sweet Titans. Mm-hmm. My only negative is Mike Vrabel still has this belief that he can call defensive plays and do it well.
Yeah.
But Matt Patricia is now available.
Just true. Come from the same Belichick tree, so they might hook up in the future.
Exactly. That's my only complaint is I'm mad at this moment that we haven't signed him.
Or even a Dan Quinn. He's
a defensive mind.
When he was a defensive coordinator, he had good defenses. I think he couldn't focus on that when he was a head coach, so it's hard for him to have a good defense as the head coach.
Yeah, there are options there, and with so much football in front of us at this point, it's shown Vrabel doesn't have the ability to lead us defensively.
It's true. I think there's a lot to be desired with his coaching on the defense, even though he is a defensive-minded coach. I think when you're the head coach, you have to be able to focus on all aspects of the team. You can't necessarily be just the defensive coach.
And that's my 2020 Titans. I would love to hear about your 2020 Cowboys.
All right, Cowboys fans, hold in there. Brace for impact. It's going to be a tough outing at the end of this season. Unfortunately, and surprisingly, the Cowboys still have a chance of winning this division. The Dallas Cowboys could win this division. It's incredible that it's even a talking point anymore. We could finish, 5-11 and win this division. We could finish 6-10 and win this division. Dallas is currently holding his face and sighing. It's true. The Cowboys can unfortunately win this division because of our draft stock. As soon as we get into the playoff bracket, we immediately go jump up to the high teens. We don't want that. Cowboys fans, we don't want that. Andy Dalton is not going to lead us to the promised land. The Red Rocket, the Red Rifle, is not going to lead us to that final destination. He's been a good, solid quarterback for a long time who's had a lot of good Bengals teams around him. And it's not going to happen anymore. He's not going to do that with a team that's struggling. The receiving core is great. He should be able to connect a good amount of times in the games, and he does that. The running back core is not great. The offensive line is not great. The secondary on the defensive side, not great. Defensive line, not great. Linebackers, not great. Listen, we have to. I think the Cowboys' strong points right now are their linebackers, who have started to show up with Leighton Vander Esch back at calling plays again. The secondary is starting to make some plays here and there, especially the previous week against the Vikings. But unfortunately, they're still able to be exposed. We need to get that high draft capital, a top 5 pick, and trade down and get a lot of picks so we can pick up a lot of defensive players. Because generally, the best defensive players are going to be in the teens of the draft, of the first round of the draft. But we need to get that high pick so we can get a lot of picks. We don't want to win this division. It's not worth it. Let the Eagles continue to suck and win this division. Let the football team win this division and continue to be the defunct team that they are. Riverboat Ron might will them into the playoffs this year and maybe win one game. But if any NFC East team wins a playoff game, it's a miracle. Something crazy had to happen.
If I can, really quick, just to back you up on that, I don't know if you're aware of Andy Dalton's history in the playoffs.
I am.
0-4, 6 interceptions, 1 touchdown.
Not a good quarterback in the playoffs. We don't want him on the big stage. He's playing for the Cowboys consistently on the big stage. One of the biggest market in NFL for sure.
Absolutely. America's team.
America's team by far. And people are fleeing us because they should. This team sucks. But we have to give Mike McCarthy time. We have to give Bone Fossils time. We have to give Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore has been good. I don't see any problems with Kellen Moore's play calling, honestly. I just think that we don't have the players to properly execute, and Jerry Jones is sitting in his crystal box up there, yelling them to rush the middle with Zeke. Zeke needs to quit getting the ball. Zeke is washed. Zeke sucks. He needs to be traded or cut. I don't care about the salary loss at this point. What matters is that we have this salary liability who is not performing, and we only continue to put him in because of his salary.
Send him as a combo pack to the Jets.
Yeah, Jets, please. You love washed-up running backs. Just take another one, please. I know you guys are going to get a new GM and a new head coach, but come on. Just suck for a little bit longer so we can dump this one off on you. Maybe even you look at teams like the Chargers, who have Joshua Kelly and Justin Jackson and Austin Eckler, who all three of them are not necessarily number one running backs. Maybe throw in Zeke in there and he's able to have a bounce back. I'd love to see Zeke be 2016 Zeke again, but until his abs come back and his cheeseburgers go away, he is no longer going to be 2016 Zeke, and we need to quit living off of that pipe dream. We need Dak Prescott back. We need everyone who's been injured back, Tyron Smith, Lyle Collins, but it's not going to happen this season, obviously. Next season, we got to wait. We got to get that good draft pick. We got to have a good free agency. We had a good draft last year. We just had a bad free agency. So we got to bounce back this year. Less injuries, more conditioning, so our players aren't hurt as much, and we'll figure it out. But just be patient, Cowboys fans. Don't root for this season. Root for next year. That's all I got for the Cowboys.
No, I mean, like poetry. Well said for the boys this year. I hope better for you next year. I really do. I love the Cowboys.
Maybe we can hire Arthur Smith.
Don't.
Well, I think the most likely in that scenario would be that we elevate Kellen Moore. But either way, I think that's all we got for this week. That is Coach Potatoes episode 3. Thank you guys so much for watching again. My name is Jeff.
I'm Dallas.
And thanks, guys.
Yeah, go watch some football.